So this is how the typical day starts here. Take you guys with me. I don't know what time it is, just a little after 7 or something. I'm gonna go inside, get a few more voices heard, we'll have a coffee. And then I'm gonna go start my journey back to the old home. Get the rest of my hay and stuff, and see some friends. And then come right back. So, first thing we do, come over here and let out who I used to call the freeloaders. Sarah's got a whole bunch of these laying hens. They finally started giving us eggs the other day. I think we got a dozen so far. Actually, I guess we'll check right now and see what's in here. So this is the original coop that came with the place. We're gonna redo it here shortly, but shit, that boulders frozen to the ground. They're stuck. Holy. There we go. What's up? Huh? How many eggs? What do we got? Nothing. 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 Nothing, nothing, nothing. What do you got in here? Nothing. I bet there's something under you. Let's have a look. Oh, peck at me. Oh, eggs! Look at that! 2 more eggs. She's earning her keep. Look at this goofy one right here. Isn't that funny? Gotta get your tonsils ripped out. All right, moving along. Chickens are out for the day. And then it's always a relief to look out front and see horses at home have busted out. Breakfast time. Who's in? I grab a couple flakes. Oops. And notice it looks like there's a full moon up there. Interesting. So my barn boards keep going on the outside of the new barn. Stained up. Goats know I'm outside, you can hear them starting to cry. Here's the... Oh, you got out, you little bugger. How did you do that? Are you serious? Oh my God, it's always that one. Mums, leave her alone. Look out. All right, get in there. You little dork. Look at that, she pushed up with a board out of the way. Get in there. Get in there. Bad goat. So almost finished the inside, my walls, the stalls. And of course, Sarah's got stockings for the goats and the horses up. And you gotta get moving here. What are you doing? Get back in here. You little shit. All right, now watch this chaos. These two get like one small handful of grain. Watch below. Then I give Mom's and the other one a little bit of. What are you doing? Why do you got up on there? You know it's gonna go in your bowl. So they don't even get them like barely a fistful. Maybe tiny. Look out. And of course they go ape shit over it. And then of course they know what's coming. And then just because I'll give them a tiny little sprinkle on each one of them. Things of hay. One some for you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Good boy. There you go. Little treat for you. Mom's yours is on top of yours already. Come on, let's go. Back over there. Look out. There we go. Everybody's accounted for. Fed, happy. Still got to make my barn door for this side. Still got to tear out this entire ceiling and roofing and replace it. Finish that wall, cut the windows in to go through to the shop for the horses. There we go. Now let's go inside and see if we get some voices heard. So Sarah is like a Christmas Olympian, I call her, and I always think she's going for a Christmas Olympic gold each year, and this is the tree. How freaking crazy is that? I had to show that sucker off for her. Bit of a Christmas tree, first one for our place here this year, so it's like I live in a frickin' Christmas shopping mall right now. Sarah's staying hidden. Don't kid yourself, she's right close by. Terrified of the camera. Time's right now, it's 8:19 a.m. Just getting fairly light out. This is titled, Damn It, Steve. So who knows where this is going. Damn it, Steve. Hi, Steve. You can call me Doc. In my youth, I lived in central Kentucky and I spent a lot of time in the real world, as you call it. Hiking, camping, fishing, rappelling, caving, and canoeing. The story takes place in a cave called Climax Cave, which is not far from the Great Saltpeter Cave where they filmed that stupid Steven Seagal movie, Fire Down Below. 30 years ago, during a glorious summer of adventure, my friend Chris and I were discussing going to Climax Cave with another friend named Kevin, and when we would be headed out, and if Kevin wanted to come. He had never been spelunking for real. When I said that, I mean this cave did not have electricity or handrails or any of those cushy tourist things. When we met up with Kevin the next day, he had invited his young cousin to come along, and even though he too had never been spelunking, we thought, what the hell, the more the merrier. Hell, somehow he even knew to bring an extra flashlight with extra batteries and a pair of knee pads. Good on you. I cannot recall his name, so for this story we'll call him KC, Kevin's cousin. On the way there, I explained to Kevin and KC some things about the cave, as Chris and I had been there several times. I told them how we will enter through a small opening the size of a bear's den and how it opens to underground caverns and cliffs. There are many passages that lead to a place called the Belly of Hell, and 2/3 of the way through the cave there's an underground stream that we can cross, crouch down on our hands and feet where water is only ankle deep. When we reach the other opening, it widens into an opening large enough that 2 tractor trailers could fit inside. Holy shit, that's big. They fit side by side, still have room left over. Oh yeah, and bats. Lots of tiny bats inside because we will be inside during the daytime. Once we're inside the cave, all was fine, and everyone was having a good time until we reached the stream. Kevin suddenly grabbed me and quietly said, I can't. I don't know why, but I'm scared, and I don't think I can make it to the other side. I told him, no big deal. I'll guide you back the way we came, and I'll meet back up with Chris and KC to go on through. Kevin could wait there where we entered because we would all have to come back that way to exit. Steve, this is a little weird because Kevin was a big guy, not scared of anything except his mama. I thought maybe he's a bit claustrophobic, and it just never kicked in until he was deep underground. On the way back to the entrance, when it was just Kevin and I, he kept apologizing. He said that he felt sick, like he was going to throw up, and he could not make himself go any further. I said, it's okay. And then I would tell the guys, you just didn't want to get your boots wet. The water was up higher than usual that day. No big deal. Just wait outside the entrance and you'll see us again in about an hour and a half or so. By that time he was back to normal and was happy to be out in the sunshine. I headed back inside to join up with the others right about the time they had crossed the stream into the other side of the cave. As I said before, this opening is big, so big that a local church would have revivals in there sometimes. As we're coming out of the cave into the large opening, the horrid smell of dead skunk was filling the air. We thought, gross, but no big deal. He probably crawled in and died. After just a few steps toward the opening, a loud, siren-like scream came from outside the cave. The sound was so loud, it filled the valley below the cave. We moved closer to see what the F was making that noise when a shitstorm of trees, rocks, and debris started coming down from above the cave's left side. So we moved over to the right to see if we could find out what the F was happening. The siren/scream never stopped, nor did the shitstorm raining down from above, until we were stopped in our tracks by a sound that seemed to come from everywhere, all around us. It was like being surrounded by large concert speakers on all sides, as well as above and below. When the vibration stopped, we were all huddled together in a ball, holding on to each other for dear life. Steve, 16 to 18-year-old boys do not hold each other, as a general rule. We took off back through the cave, arguing the whole way about what that was. Casey was convinced it was Kevin out there, and that we were in on it. No effing way. Kevin had never been there before, so there was no way he could have located the other opening from the outside in the time it took us to get there. When we sprang up out of the entrance, Kevin was sitting nearby smoking a cigarette. He laughed and said something to the effect, "So he chickened out too, huh?" Pointing at his cousin, KC, who was barely half the size of Kevin, come out ready to fight. Kevin said that he had only been waiting for about 30 to 45 minutes and that he'd been sitting right there the whole time when that he had been sitting right there the whole time we were inside the cave. We took off scrambling down the hill in a panic, arguing the whole way back to the car. We jumped in the car and sped away. Kevin, driving, still not really understanding what we were freaking out over, jerked the car over to the side of the road and said, "Damn, who shit themselves?" He made his cousin get out of the car and ditch his pants and underwear on the side of the road, wrap a shirt around his waist, and get back in. Oops. He drove us back to my car and then left with his cousin to try to explain coming home with no pants. Chris asked me if I had a towel in my car. He needed something to sit on as he had pissed himself and didn't want to say anything in Kevin's car because it was all too crazy on the way back, and he didn't want to end up half naked in the back seat to a half naked 16-year-old kid. I never went back to that cave. I never saw Kevin again or his cousin again. Chris and I lost touch as we went off to different colleges. I always chalk this experience up to asshole rednecks, effing with teenagers, but having listened to the stories you have shared with an open mind, just too many pieces of the puzzle have come together in such a way that I have to look back and think, damn it, Steve. Could it really have been a Bigfoot encounter? Dead skunks, not uncommon. Rocks do dislodge and roll downhill. Trees do fall. Asshole rednecks do like to mess with teenagers. But that siren scream and what came after, it just shuts you down. You can't speak, you can't think, you can't breathe. But I guess your bowels still work. It's just not the way you want them to. I still spend as much time as I can out in nature. It's like church for me. Now when I enter the woods, I enter with peaceful intentions, a clear mind, and my head on a swivel. Steve, keep doing what you're doing. I believe you may just have helped another person gain some sense of understand about some of the crazy shit that goes on in this world. God bless, stay safe out there. Please leave my name out. Okay, man? You can't fake shitting and pissing your pants when you're a teenage boy, can you? And that's quite the weird detail to make up if you decided you wanted to wake up in the morning and make up some crazy story, right? Obviously, at this stage of the game, you know these things have happened to numerous people before, right? It's just the way it is. I'm glad it helped. You know it helps us some other people for sure as well. There's far too many people here right now. Over 7 million views in the last few weeks on this channel alone. Thanks for sending that in, man. Oh, all right, what's this one? Doesn't seem too long. Let's get at this one. It's titled, I proved they read my mind and we have authority over them. All right, here we go. Possible puzzle piece coming in. Steve, thanks again for what you're doing for all of us. Your new property looks amazing. To establish who I am, you have read a couple of my emails so far. I sent you the clear photograph of a sabbath in my window and a story of my 3-year-old granddaughter who could see many standing 100 feet away, yet I could not. I also had an encounter with a giant sabbath next to my porch late at night, and I witnessed it take 4 steps from my cabin and disappear out of this reality. The more I reflected on on my experiences, the more I began to develop a theory that might help people fit some puzzle pieces together. I started to test whether we humans can interact mentally with these creatures, as many have inadvertently experienced. Here's what I did and what happened. Every day for 10 days, I sat in my woods and meditated on sending the sabbath the thought of coming to show themselves in daytime to me without being violent. My assumption was that if they can read our minds, as described by many of your viewers, they might reveal themselves to me in the daytime as I requested. After 10 days, however, I gave up and believed I failed and my theory was wrong. Yet, 2 days later, I was watering the garden and a medium-sized dark brown sabbath was standing within 10 feet of where I had meditated. As soon as I digested what I was seeing, he turned and walked away. I have to admit, I was scrambling to construct what this all meant and what I could do with this new knowledge. Let me be clear and state that my speculation is not the only possibility. I'm sure the tens of thousands of viewers on your channel could come to a different conclusion, but mine was that they can read our minds and that distance is not relevant. The sabbath could have been 100 miles away or maybe a world away. And then there was this idea I had, what if we were projecting too much skill onto the sabbath? What if it is us that have this misunderstood superpower? What if our mental abilities are so much more powerful than we think, and that we can project thoughts across space and time to other living entities? Having this new to me idea, I returned to meditating daily and began mentally asking a simple question. What can he tell me that is true? What can he tell me that is true and that I misunderstand? Within a couple of minutes, I got a visual of something so unusual I dismissed it immediately as my own imagination. But this image would return over and over for a week. No matter what I was doing, reading, meditating, sleeping, working, it would pop into my head. I began to think I was losing control of my own mind. Then I wondered, what if the sabbath was projecting that thought back to me using this visual mental image? And I was receiving it as an answer to my question. What can he teach me? Although I had wanted to communicate with them, a visual was not what I expected. The image I saw reportedly was of dinosaurs walking from another world into ours, from one dimension to another, like 2 soap bubbles sharing a surface. And at the same time, I also saw a large group of people do the same, emerge from one world into another reality. Both these visuals were simultaneous, like overlapping movies. They only lasted 2 seconds. If I'm not absolutely losing my mind and dumb as a bag of rocks, I'm now thinking that these so-called portals are everywhere, but maybe they are coming on stronger now than, say, 100 years ago? Maybe they come and go like migrating birds and the season is changing for our reality? And the more I apply this new idea, I become comfortable with applying it to history. Dinosaurs are an anomaly, and science still can't explain how entire populations just vanished from their cities, such as the Mayan and Anasazi Indians of southwest USA. I will end with my latest experience to test my theory that we humans can send mental thoughts to the sabbath. I demanded that he show himself at the same location, just not when I was there. Yes, I know it is a chicken shit, but I don't want to get shredded into a million pieces while I investigate this mystery. The next day, a different but similar sized Sabe, about 6 feet tall, 300 pounds, more black than dark brown, like the other Sabe, was standing there. He then walked away. I had a distinct feeling that he was doing precisely as I told him. Steve, I've done more experiments, but I'm not sure if people would think I was being truthful, so I'll keep them to myself. I just wanted to share my experiences in hopes of tossing out a puzzle piece for those that want to understand our reality and capabilities. I think that we might be able to solve this puzzle if we come at it from a completely different angle, because the perspective we currently have is not clearly answering our mystery. I pray I have not wasted your time nor my credibility. There's your name. Did you say username or not? Alright, no, you said username. So, John Lipscomb, a free thinker from Kansas. John, absolutely appreciate that email. Gets the brain spinning for sure. And me and Sarah were talking about meditating just a little while ago, and I'm curious how to learn how to do it myself. I know it takes time, and my mind is usually doing Mach 5 daily anyway. So maybe after I get my barn and a bunch of other things done, then I want to sit down and actually learn how to meditate and learn more about our minds myself. And that's obviously that what you just shared is going to be a little bit for the average person to chew on, right? But coming from everything at different angles, that's what I've been trying to do. I always try to encourage people to come at stuff from a different angle and just have a peek from a different angle and see what you can see, and maybe there's something there you could take from or leave, right? But wouldn't that be something else if you could control them? As I was reading that, you know what I was initially thinking? Please go to our local government and kick ass. Anyway, here's a couple short ones for today. I thought I'd get that out while having coffee this morning. And I gotta get my butt in gear and start the road trip. So, I'll be back shortly. And make sure you send in your information that you want to share with the world through me to share my story at howtohunt.com or tell my story at howtohunt.com. What have you been seeing in the yard? Anything you want to tell me about? What's out there? Scared you so much you don't want to tell me? Typical reaction.